came across an interesting Jehovah's Witness video the other day. They have a whole series of videos about bad association, as they call it. And in this video I came across, they make a pretty clear point about who you should and shouldn't be hanging out with. This is something cults tend to do a lot, limiting who you're allowed to hang out with, what activities you're allowed to do, that kind of thing.
Do not be misled. Bad associations spoil useful habits. Okay, but what's good associations?
So I wanted to see what they think about bad association, as they call it, and more importantly, what they consider to be bad association. Let's get into it. Let me set up the clip. This is framed as a Jehovah's Witness studying with a prospective member of the organization who's trying to join. Joining the religion can take years. It takes at least a year of living like a Jehovah's Witness does. It's very intense and it drains you of your time, money, and personality. I'll show you what I mean by that in a minute. For now, give this clip a watch and see how they want their members to act. Check it out.
Do not be misled. Bad associations spoil useful habits. Okay, but what's good associations?
Well, we have wholesome gatherings with our brothers and sisters from the congregation. And we eat and talk, and some like to play musical instruments, and they'll do renditions of original songs. And we have a really nice time.
Yeah, I don't do that.
It's not boring.
Sure it's not.
Living like a Jehovah's Witness is definitely different. I grew up as one, and it was not a good experience. They limit what you're allowed to do and who you're allowed to be around. You aren't really allowed to hang out with people outside the religion. They want you to build your entire life around the organization. There's a reason for it too. If you break a rule or something, they can pull the rug out from under you. They can, and do, tell everybody in your life to stop talking to you. Stop being friendly. If you ask the time of day, they're instructed to ignore you. Don't even make eye contact. It's a method of control, and that method of control won't work if you have friends on the outside. They try their best to completely isolate you from everybody except fellow members, and that's what we're watching here. As a prospective Jehovah's Witness, this girl's expected to start participating in Jehovah's Witness events and stop participating in so-called worldly events. They're beginning the process of pulling her into the bubble. Now, of course, they have to try to make these events fun. The depiction they gave here,
Editions of original songs.
that really isn't terribly accurate. I went to a billion Jehovah's Witness events when I was a kid. I wasn't really allowed to participate in any other type of gathering, including but not limited to school events like football games. All that stuff was off limits for me. I even had a friend that lived 5 houses down from me. His name was Patrick. We liked Pokemon, but Pokemon came on TV at 2:30, and we didn't get out of school until 3 p.m. So Patrick had a VCR, and he'd start recording on channel 13 or whatever when he left for school that morning, and by the time we got home, Pokemon would be recorded. So I was taking my bike over to Patrick's house every day for a while, and we were watching Pokemon. Until one day, my parents followed me in their car and found my bike out front of his house. They took me home and took my bike away. This was an unacceptable level of friendship with an outsider. They take this seriously. You aren't allowed to have outsiders as friends, period. So I had to resort to participating in the few Jehovah's Witness events that took place in my congregation. They had talent shows and sleepovers and all kinds of stuff. It was entertaining, I'll give them that, really. People could do some really cool stuff at the talent show, but it was all part of the isolation tactics you find in cults. Anyways, let's keep watching the clip.
I don't do that.
It's not boring.
Sure it's not.
Well, what do you do?
Here they're just playing dance music. I deeply doubt it's copyrighted, but just in case, I'm blanking it out to avoid problems. The bottom line is that this girl went to a club to have fun.
Yeah, you wouldn't do that. It's not exactly wholesome. But you gotta have fun, right?
True. And we do. See for yourself. I'm having some people over this weekend. Why don't you come?
It wasn't the club, but it was still fun.
Before we continue, I wanted to mention something. If you like what I do and you want to see me continue to do it, you can support me in a few ways. First, there's Patreon. That's probably the best way. But if you want to get something back for your support, you can check out my Teespring or my Etsy shop. I just started selling these signs on Etsy. If you want to keep Jehovah's Witnesses at bay and prevent them from knocking on your door, get one of these. This should deliver the message. Anyways, back to Jehovah's Witnesses. This is the start of the indoctrination. She is now starting down the long road of severing all ties with the outside world and swearing allegiance to an organization who doesn't have her best interests at heart. It has its own best interests at heart and uses the members as pawns to accomplish their goals. This isn't a new message, honestly. Back in 2016, I think, Jehovah's Witnesses released a series of videos that eventually became known as the Bunker Videos by fellow ex-Jehovah's Witnesses. It depicted Jehovah's Witnesses hiding in a basement from the government during what they call the Great Tribulation. It's supposed to be a period of time directly before Armageddon where the world declares war on religion and Jehovah's Witnesses have to hide in basements to save their own lives. So they're sitting in the basement telling stories about being Jehovah's Witnesses to keep their spirits up. Check this out.
It was when I was at that office job in the city. It was just coffee as usual.
Karen, we're making some coffee. Did you want some?
Oh, I love it. The good stuff, right?
Oh, yes.
Thanks. Boy, I can smell it.
And somebody brought treats.
It's wonderful, thank you.
So how are things going?
But this time she started telling me about her problems at home.
So John, he got a text message from his ex-girlfriend.
No, that must be very hard for you.
Yeah, it is.
You know, there are some things in the Bible that have helped me in my marriage that I would love to show you. I was excited about the chance to give a witness.
That's really what it's all about with Jehovah's Witnesses. They are hyper-focused on bringing you into the bubble with them. If you want to be their friend, then you have to at least pretend to be interested. The moment they get the hint that you don't care or you don't want to hear it, they will drop you like a hot iron. The organization has successfully convinced their people to control themselves. The elders don't have to follow them around from place to place. They don't have to investigate your life. Not usually anyways. Not unless somebody is on their way out of the religion. If they get suspicious, they absolutely will tear your life apart to find out what you're up to. They'll go on social media and read every post you've ever put up. They'll even tail you in their cars, follow you from place to place like they're FBI agents investigating a sleeper cell or something. Nothing is off limits if they suspect you broke the programming. But they know the programming you get from videos like this will hold for the most part. Let's keep watching.
From time to time we talked, kept the conversations brief. And that was it.
Hey!
But over time, the conversations grew. And husbands and family were often the hot topic. And everyone had a viewpoint.
If I may, there's some things in the scriptures that I think...
I still thought I could give a witness and actually teach them something about Jehovah.
No. Honey, it doesn't work like that.
But in reality, I was the one being taught. I was sure their thinking wasn't rubbing off on me. Until one day when Robert called. The girls knew that Robert and I had had a small disagreement that morning. And he was calling to apologize. Although some of it was my fault.
Karen, did you want to get a little coffee?
Mm.
No, it's him. If you don't want to talk to him now, then don't. Besides, it sounds like he could use a little silent treatment.
Remember, these people aren't even friends. They're co-workers. They aren't even depicting her hanging out with outsiders. They're just showing her at her workplace. For the record, this is exactly how they teach kids to act with their classmates. I'm not Owen Morgan. I'm Owen Morgan, Jehovah's Witness. In every situation, especially when I'm around outsiders, my primary goal is to bring people into the religion. If they aren't interested in that, then I should move on to the next person. How popular do you think that made me in school? Not very. School is supposed to be treated as your own territory to work. Some of the kids you go to school with might even be in gated communities, otherwise inaccessible to door-knocking Jehovah's Witnesses. They might not be able to get the message any other way but through you. So it's your responsibility to preach to them and try to bring them into the bubble with you. And if you fail, if you can't bring them into the religion, or if you don't want to be an outcast at school so you decide to just be a normal human being instead of being a Jehovah's Witness, and they don't make it through Armageddon, their blood could be on your hands. You could be held responsible for not saving their life.
So you just take a look, and this is the idea Jehovah's getting across, at your hands. And you look at your hands now, only God, as he looks at your hands in here and all those that are tied in, does he see blood there? The humans sitting next to you, they might have an idea because they know you well and you haven't been out in service in weeks. Well, guess what? Most likely God's seeing some blood all over your hands. Or they go totally inactive and we appeal to them, we try to help, but you cannot water down what God says here. If your hands are not clean because you've been out warning, then they have blood on them and you're going to lose your life.
If you aren't giving free labor to this organization, bringing more people into the bubble, putting in as many hours as you possibly can, and making yourself a social outcast in every social situation, you might not make it through Armageddon. They take this pretty seriously, which is why they put out video after video, magazine after magazine about this subject. They've been preaching this message for years now. This is not new. This sentiment's been around since I was a kid, at least. Let's keep watching the bunker video.
I couldn't believe the effect the association was having on my attitude and my marriage.
But what could you do? You worked with them every day, and you were able to give a witness sometimes.
But I had let it turn into regular, unnecessary association that was spoiling my useful habits.
Not only do you have to talk about Jehovah, but the moment you detect they aren't really interested, you have to drop them like a hot iron. If you don't, you could be blood guilty, a sin tantamount to murder. It isn't just about not hanging out with them outside work or school. You can't even hang out with them at work or school. I hear you asking, so how are you supposed to act around these people? Let me show you.
I started keeping things friendly, but professional. I was more cautious, as I would be if they had invited me out, or if a male coworker had invited me to join him for a break.
So did that work?
It did, and I was so relieved.
And so was I.
Jehovah gave us the good morals and habits that we have. Exposing myself to bad association was being disloyal to him.
I'm sorry, man, that is unhinged. This is just wrong. This is the kind of thing they push on their people. As I said, if they see somebody starting to break away, they will straight up stalk you. The elders will follow you around in their cars. They'll do anything to find out if you're living up to their standards. It's disturbing. I really wish there was some way to pull people out of this, but when you use propaganda techniques like fear, uncertainty, and doubt to scare people into compliance like this,
Where are they? Check the basement. Check that door.
it's an uphill battle. Everything they release is designed to scare people into compliance. Sure, you can leave the organization if you want, but if you do, you'll lose every friend and family member you have ever had. You will be destitute. In many cases, the people in the congregation even work together at the same job. Window cleaner is a popular occupation for Jehovah's Witnesses because it's considered a low-skilled job. Doesn't require a higher education, which they also discourage.
With schools of higher education, in many of their curriculums, and if you know anything about it, maybe some of you have been, do they not have Philosophy 1 and Philosophy 2? It doesn't matter what you're going to major in. And they start you off there. You'd be going for another thing, but you have Philosophy 1, you have Philosophy 2. And then all of a sudden it gets in there, and the intellectual gripping of the mind, very hard to recover from. I've seen this so many times, and we could tell you so many horror stories, and the parents are all distraught. Why didn't you do more for my son? Why didn't you do more for my daughter? I would say, who dropped him off? So you have to decide that. You want to take the risk? Your call. We're warning you.
So you go through childhood hearing how dangerous it is to even be friendly with outsiders. You hear about the dangers of getting a college education, and this brother in the congregation has a window cleaning business. He'll pay you $20 an hour to clean windows. Hard work, but honest. 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, and they give you time off to go to Jehovah's Witness meetings and door knocking. It's a good deal. Now, if you realize how destructive this group is to your life and the lives of everybody around you, you don't just lose your friends and family. You lose your job, your home, your car, and everything you own. Helping people find their way out of this is not easy, but it's a battle we have to fight. This organization has ruined countless people's lives, including my own, but there is a way out of it. We just can't give up. Anyways, that's all I've got for you. Thanks for watching, guys.